At this point, I don't even have high expectations anymore. I mean, it's been 6 films into Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and every single film so far has been very underwhelming. When I first saw the trailer for this film, it kind of gave me those Thor Ragnarok vibes. You know, the way they reinvented Thor by having Thor be more of a comedian and having Chris Hemsworth play himself rather than becoming Thor, the character he was supposed to be playing. And now having seen the film, it's definitely kind of like Thor Ragnarok, except it feels like way more of a children's film than that film did. And the film also had a pacing issue where it felt like the movie was just moving way too fast, and I suspected that would happen when I saw the runtime was only 2 hours long. And that doesn't necessarily hold true because a film can be done in 2 hours or under. And some of the MCU films, especially like the earlier like beginning films or the intro films for a character, those films tend to be around 2 hours long. So it can be done, but a lot of the MCU films, or most of them, have like 2:15, 2.5 hours, and that extra 10 and 15 minutes makes a huge difference. And in the case of Thor Love and Thunder, it definitely feels like that extra 10, 15 minutes was needed because you have characters that are supposed to be important, they're supposed to be central to the film, but they kind of feel like they're just there and they don't have much to do. Like Valkyrie, played by Tessa Thompson. She's reprising her role from Thor Ragnarok, and I think she was in Avengers Endgame. I think those are the only 2 films where she was in. But she's reprising that role, and it feels like she's just there for that because she didn't really have much of a role in the film other than, hey, I'm Valkyrie, I'm the king of New Asgard. That's about it. And not that I use Wikipedia as a primary source or anything, but I did read there that Valkyrie's bisexuality would be addressed in the film, and I don't recall that ever being addressed in Thor Ragnarok. I don't recall that being addressed in Avengers Endgame. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but I don't recall it. So I don't see how that has any relevance with the film whatsoever, except that the actress herself, I believe, is bisexual. Again, I might be wrong on that, but I think it's really stupid to kind of push that into the film just because like it was addressed, it was kind of hinted at, but it didn't really have an importance in the film, so why was it even thrown in there? Like, it really feels like this is Disney's I'm down with the cause kind of bullshit where they have to show that they're accepting of everyone. You can be accepting, just have it be needed in the film, have it be important in the film, and if it's not, then just don't have it in there. Include it when it actually matters. And then you have Gore the God Butcher, who was played by Christian Bale, phenomenal actor, but it felt like his character was underutilized. He just had such an underwhelming presence. I thought in the beginning of the film it started with him, and I thought it was gonna be a darker kind of Thor film. I mean, yeah, it'll still have its comedy moments, but it'll be a little bit darker. But his character didn't really have much of a presence in the film. Like, he shows up and then he leaves. He has his moments and then it's gone. Like, I had hoped they would further expand upon his character because I wanted to see more of him, like, trying to justify his vendetta, his rage against the gods. I mean, he's Gore the God Butcher. I want to see him butchering gods. I mean, it doesn't have to be that graphic, but how are you going to have someone called Gore the God Butcher and you just hear about him killing gods and that he wants to get rid of all of them, but that's pretty much all you get out of the film. He doesn't really butcher any gods on screen. You just know he wants to do it. And physically, he was very underwhelming because whenever he fought Thor, it didn't really feel like he had the upper hand too much. It didn't really feel like he was someone that Thor could not handle. So yeah, I definitely think those extra 10-15 minutes was needed, not just for the characters, but for the plot itself, because it was just moving way too quickly. And that would have been a lot better if the film wasn't so focused on being a comedy. It felt like such a children's film for 2 hours. I mean, you have Gore the God Butcher, who was an evil being who, I mean, he's called Gore the God Butcher, and he just wants to kill all gods. And then you have Jane Foster's cancer, which is a subject that is very close to my, I mean, not Jane Foster, the cancer part. That's a subject that is very close to my heart. And then you have Thor, who feels empty and keeps, like, kind of like keeping people at a distance so that he doesn't have to worry about losing anyone because he's lost so much. And you have all these touching subjects, and I don't care about any of them throughout the entire film because they make a joke out of every single moment. So not only can I not take this film seriously, but I also can't take Thor's character seriously. Now, I never thought Chris Hemsworth was the best actor. Now, to be fair, I have not seen a lot of Chris Hemsworth's work. I have not seen a lot of his roles. I think the first time I saw him was in a movie, I think it was called A Perfect Getaway with Steve Zahn and Timothy Olyphant. But when I first saw him play Thor, I thought his acting was very cringy. Though the whole role was very cringy because yes, he looked like a Thor. He looked like a very big, strong man, but his acting was so subpar, it was hard to take his character seriously. And then that continued into Thor the Dark World. But then when Thor Ragnarok came out, they kind of reinvented his character. And I'm not sure about the validity of it, but I read that it was because Chris Hemsworth wanted to put more of himself into the role. And it shows because it feels like I'm watching Chris Hemsworth, not Thor. But even if he was taking his role seriously, I still could not take this film seriously because the rest of the film still felt like a joke. And then there's the issue of those two goats, which other people may find funny. I didn't. I thought they were very cringy and annoying, but they're like two gigantic goats that don't the way a normal goat would, or like the way you think a goat would. Instead, they just scream like, I don't know, like comedians, like I don't know, just people screaming. Like, it's so fucking annoying. This movie was such a joke, and it wasn't even funny, at least to the people in my theater, because I didn't really hear many reactions. I think the only time I heard like a laugh, like a genuine laugh, was when Matt Damon, Luke Hemsworth, and Sam Neill were reenacting like, in cameo roles the scene where Odin dies and Hela comes back and breaks Thor's hammer. Like that was really the only part that really got laughs. Like the rest of the movie felt like a joke, but it wasn't even funny. So the only thing to take away from this moving forward are the end credit scenes, which is Jane Foster in Valhalla. She's met with Heimdall, who is played by Idris Elba. He's reprising his role, but you only get to see him for like a few seconds. But yeah, Jane Foster is in Valhalla with Heimdall, and Zeus is upset. Zeus is played by Russell Crowe in the film, who's a joke, just like everything else. But yeah, Zeus is upset, and he's dispatching, I think it's either Ares, I don't know if Ares is a Marvel character, or Hercules, whatever he's called. It didn't really say a name. I just saw a really tall, muscular guy and a club, and I think Ares does use a club or a sword depending on what you read, but I know Hercules does use a club, so it might be Hercules. So yeah, moving forward, that's the only thing to take away from any of this. The movie was so horrible. I did not enjoy it at all. I didn't even laugh throughout the entire film. So yeah, for me, the film was horrible. If you agree with me, or if you hold a different opinion and you actually enjoyed the film, please let me know in the comment section as to why. Please hit that like button. It does help me a lot. Subscribe if you have not already, and I will catch you on the next video next Friday. See you then. Bye bye.